when a man is working out those feelings, that's the vulnerable piece. That is the vulnerability. It's being able to say, I don't have this figured out. I don't really understand everything that I'm going through, that I feel, that I'm thinking, but I want to have this conversation with you. That is the vulnerability. And without those conversations, you lack the closeness that we desire. Does that make sense? I don't even know how we got here.
No,
we
you know what I realized though?
It
just clicked for me why that's hard for men. When you are a provider, you don't want to ever appear as if you don't know what you're doing or you haven't thought it through or figured it out. So if I come to you with something that I have not worked out or a feeling or a fear, my fear is that you're going to be like, oh, he don't know what he's doing or he's not confident. So I would rather wait until I have it all figured out and then present it to you. And what you're looking for is the broken part of the plan and the fears that we have. And the manly part of us is like, I can't share that with you for fear of you thinking I don't got it all. And I think that's not, it doesn't even mean like in my case, it's probably the same for you, Marcus. Your wife doesn't necessarily have to do anything that makes you feel like she won't have your back. Right. But the thing about being a man is I need to appear. I think it's the imposter syndrome. Yes. I need to appear as if I got it all worked out, figured out.
And like I've been in my career for a long time. Like I'm used to having everything under control. I know what I'm doing. So to be entering something, it's just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this.
Yes.
It's like, hold on, how am I going? Can I do this? Hold on. And that might be what's kind of going on in my mind, but it's so hard to verbalize.
And even if I could verbalize it, I don't want to tell you that because it makes me feel weak.
But what's so crazy is when you have a good wife, she already sees that.
Yes.
That you don't have something figured out. She's just waiting for you to tell her so that she can be that purpose
sounding board.
Yes.
They just want to see us fall and cry.
No, and that's like the thing. Thank you for joining the Love Hour. I'm your host, Miss KevOnStage, and I'm here with my husband and co-host,
the KevOnStage.
And today we have two very special guests. I'm like so excited. It's our first guest of the podcast.
Oh, nice.
I feel so honored.
I do.
I'm honored to have you both. And I'm
Melissa was livid. She thought I planned something to not be here.
I do.
And Angel gonna be here, and her husband Marcus gonna be here. And if you let me see you not be here at 6:30 on Tuesday. Why you sound like a deacon?
We started rolling. I'm like, what?
Let me see you not be here on Tuesday. We don't have a problem.
I'm like super excited. Like one of my goals is years to have more guests on the podcast, and so I'm like really excited that you guys are here.
Thank you.
So for those who do not know, this
hold on, can we pause real quick and just say this though? People that we want on the podcast, we're gonna reach out to y'all.
Hello,
because people like y'all want. Listen, I would love to be on. I think I'd be great for the podcast. Yeah. Hit me. No, I don't. That ain't really how it works for us.
Then like,
here's what I want to talk about. When day y'all shoot? What?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about nothing. I'll be at the house.
Yes, I shall send out the emails and the invitations for future podcast
Clear
guests.
that up.
Because the way you said it, people was gonna be like, "I'm outside right now."
Ready?
No. We film at my house, so yes, I will send out the invitations.
Yes.
But we have with us Angel and Marcus Tanksley.
Hey guys.
How y'all doing?
I'm so excited that you're here. So they have been married for 12 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Angel is an entrepreneur. She is the mommy that does it all. I was on her show, Mommy Confessions.
Such a good episode.
It was a really good episode.
Yes.
I had a great time.
It was good.
And her lighting was popping, so I look back on it like low key though.
How to do people right.
I mean, everything about that was popping. She is also an actor, and she has actress. She does stand-up comedy, which
you do stand-up?
That's what I said. I didn't know.
I didn't know you did.
For 9 years. She's a seasoned veteran in this game.
Angel and I know so many different people. I would see her on Instagram like, bruh, Angel be everywhere.
and I really don't be.
I thought you
but
hosted one of their shows.
No, I hosted a show for Tony.
Oh.
She was in ADD content. That's how we
how we met.
formally
Yes,
met.
yes.
Got it.
But I didn't know you do stand up till this moment.
Yeah. No,
I'll be seeing you at the Crack 'em Up
She
Thursdays.
said she ain't got time to be going out for $3.50.
Exactly. You got to pay me to leave all three of my kids.
Both. It gotta be worth it.
It's gotta be worth it.
I'm not mad.
I'll be like, you going where?
Right. For how much? It's all right. I'll pay that.
Right.
And she is married, obviously, to her husband, Marcus, and together together. They host a podcast called Will This Cause an Argument?
Is this
going to cause an argument? I think that is
y'all be arguing?
Fantastic title.
Yeah, we might argue right now.
Yes, get ready.
Yeah, and this is what I love.
That's what
Me and Liz have been arguing a lot more.
We
than
are not afraid to do. It's like, but
I'm
your
not
mama though.
Yes. Well, that's great. This is going to be a great conversation because the Love Hour, in case this is your first time, is a podcast about open, honest, transparent conversations. Kevin and I are not marriage counselors. We do not have certifications. We do not have degrees in this, but we are what we've termed.
We didn't go to culinary school. None of that. We play music by ear. We black church musicians.
Paint by numbers.
I just been playing because it's my dad's church. I can't read music.
But we coined the term marriage champions, and don't be in my comments talking about y'all didn't coin it. Yes, we did, because I just said we coined it, so we coined it.
Like
marriage champions, trademark. Ding. We coined the term marriage champions, which just means that we are here to champion and advocate for marriage, especially in this day and age with divorce rates so high. We just want to show a honest and realistic view into marriage. Child, me and Kev are going through a whole transition by ourselves, and we share and we share our lessons learned on the podcast, and that's honestly truly the point of the podcast. So today's episode, actually before we get into the episode, I want to do a this or that, which is a segment that Kevin and I do.
I got a jingle. Ready?
Okay, go.
That or this with Kevin, Liz, and Angel and Marcus.
Okay.
all right, you
See?
Such a great encourager.
Yeah, I just thought of it right now. Liz was finished shading me already. I seen her waiting for it, but y'all jumped in with
I ain't seen no sheet music
with the supportive note. I told you I play for my dad's church.
Do it twice.
I can't
Hitting
do
the
it
same
twice.
notes.
Real magic cannot be
Same
repeated.
A little bit of vibrato right there.
he
I like
did.
it.
That's all you
did
get
all
for
of
free.
it.
That's all you get for free. Yes.
Okay, so the this or that question is, would you rather meet your great grandparents or meet your great grandkids?
Ooh, great grandkids. Definitely.
Why?
I met some of my great grandparents.
Got
They
it.
okay.
Okay.
I'm good. I ain't gotta meet none of the rest of them. But my great grandkids, to think of what my legacy, to see what my legacy
Yes,
would be.
and that's my answer as well.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
nice.
that's me. I like it. Doesn't matter what they were like. My great grandparents is like that's what made me. I don't need to see
Sure.
that. I need to see what I produce.
Yes.
And it's like even if it's like, ooh, that was the wrong turn.
right.
Or yeah, I did that. You know, I mean, I need to know that.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the math. That's Zay Zay's children's children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nah, they're gonna be trash.
So you would rather meet your great grandparents?
Yeah, I mean, what's a snot-nosed kid? I mean, they're all snot-nosed.
Who said you have to meet them at Snot-Nose? You can meet them at 21.
Well, okay, with that, I guess I had to, in my mind, they stopped at, Grandpa, you can can I play with your hologram? Like, I just
Play with your hologram.
if I see my great grandkids, that means I'm still alive. So, I make great grandparents, it means I got a time machine.
Yes.
Oh, you going?
This is it's
far
all
with that.
hypothetical.
I'm on the time
But
machine.
we're going time machine.
You want the
I
time
wanna go-
machine because that way you go see both,
The
right?
way Earth is going, by the time my great grandkids are alive, it might be all robots, and I'd be like, so I don't really. The future scares me more than the past.
That's real.
True.
So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
great grandkid or parents. I'm
Parents.
gonna go back in time, look at it, and see what it was like. Probably racism still though.
It's still
Might be
racism
worse.
today.
Might be a
so-
little worse.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Great grandkids.
Yeah,
I want to see what I.
You
I
went
wanna-
all the way Flint.
all the way.
I was
Full
working
circle.
through it. I think, given all the circumstances, I would go great grandkids because I want to see what the Fredericks family legacy is 2 generations down the line.
Yes.
If I make a lot of money and they all waste it, I'm gonna sock everybody. Everybody in the
And the
lineage
legacy.
is getting fired on.
Right.
Okay, so my answer also is great grandkids, and it like almost verbatim mirrors Angel's, and that would be I would want to see the legacy that I produce. I am the legacy of my great grandparents, and I know my parents, so I know what y'all did,
Right,
And my
right.
grandma and them, so I know what y'all did. I would be curious, starting with me forward, so I would want to meet definitely my great grandkids. Okay, well, thank you for playing. Cue the theme music.
what was it? That or This with Kevin, Listen, Angel, and Marcus. It wasn't the same.
I was about to say, you changed the melody a little bit.
You caught me off guard. I was waiting for you to look at me the first time. Second time, I wasn't ready.
Okay, so we're going to move into today's topic, and it is a listener's question. Okay. And it is almost a variation of a couple different questions that come in. They come in actually all the time, and I kind of condensed it into one streamlined question. Okay. So the question is, how do you support your entrepreneur spouse without being a yes man? So I shall start, or would you like to start?
No, you can start.
Okay, so the basis of the question, I believe, is that a lot of times when okay, I have so many thoughts, so I'm going to organize them and then speak. Being married, naturally opposites attract. Like that's an actual law of attraction, and it is like true. Even a couple, like the first couple episodes Kevin and I did, we did a episode on personality traits, and we took a personality test, and literally me and Kevin's personality are opposites. Even when you read like the descriptions of the personality trait that will give you the most, it's not really, I don't know if they called it the most trouble, or like the personality that will cause you to grow the most is like their nice way of saying the most trouble. I'm Kevin's, Kevin is mine.
Oh, wow.
So we are like literal polar opposites. And so what happens as an entrepreneur that Kevin is, and I am more of like, let's just stay on, this solid ground where it's nice and safe. It causes conflict in the marriage. And you can get to a point where you feel like he is taking, or the entrepreneur spouse is taking more risk.
Now, you meant he as in me.
Well, I didn't want to, because
in the hypothetical sense, Kevin is doing this.
Well, but also I want to make sure that I'm inclusive and saying that it's not always the husband that's being the risk taker. Because it is the opposite here. And I mean, our story isn't everybody's story. So I just want to be mindful and not be like he all the time, because my story is not everyone's story. But the entrepreneur spouse may take more risk than the non-entrepreneur spouse is comfortable with. And you find yourself fighting against like trying to be supportive, but also not just trying to be a yes man, especially if like, I don't really know if this is working. And I'm like, I've been supportive, but I'm not quite sure this is working. So how do I have that conversation without like hurting his feelings? All of that kind of happens. So question number one is, have you guys experienced that? What is your like experience with that? What is your thoughts on that?
I don't think anyone who knows Marcus would describe him as a yes man in any form of the fashion. He has no problem being like, no, and no again.
It's to that. What I try to, because you have friends, and a lot of times your friends are afraid to be honest.
Yes.
A lot of times they just want to see you succeed. So they'll say yes, yes, yes. What I try to provide, and what I've learned I need to provide for her, is just straight up honesty.
Yes.
Whether it's my opinion, because I'm not in the same career that she's in, and she does do a whole lot of different things. It's like my opinion may not really line up. However, I'm not afraid to give that honest opinion because I'm like, sometimes I may be a little brutally honest.
Has that ever caused his honesty? Have you ever taken it as not being supportive?
No, just as him being wrong. It's not non-supportive.
So give me an example, or tell me what you mean.
It's just,
I don't ever call me being wrong.
Hello, child, me either. I'm never wrong.
It's just, I do realize that his knowledge of the industries that I work in, especially entertainment industry, is still very small. Sure. Even though he is right beside me, there's still only so much he knows. So I know, again, that almost anything he tells me, he is coming from a good place. Yes. So sometimes his advice is just off skew just because there's a whole chunk of knowledge that he doesn't
I understand
have. You know what I'm saying? So,
or you just fail to see it the true way.
I
would honestly think that's Kevin, would you agree that is something that you would say that we've experienced?
Well, here's the thing that's difficult about, so Melissa she is never wrong in her mind. And we came up in
I've seen the error of my ways, but go
ahead. Two different industries. And I think this is something we even talked about today. We like to keep it honest on the Love Hour. We are working through this transition from 2 9-to-5s to 2 entrepreneurships.
Right.
And one person who's like welcomes the non-9 to 5 thing. I was just telling Melissa today, I'd be like, man, I don't got no job. Let's go. And she's just like, man, y'all just don't be going to work, huh?
That's what you gonna do,
That's
right?
what y'all don't be doing. So I think in some ways, I don't know if I am right or I have just like done so much off of sheer will.
Right.
Like I do things wrong all the time, but I just like push right past that. So I think to answer your question, I think Melissa might not know things about like entertainment, about like booking a venue, but her contract administration stuff that she did for Boeing in her last job in aerospace, the idea is so similar that it's really like she does know. You know what I mean? Like a contract is a contract. The right decision for like I remember we were trying to book a guest for Ask a Blank Guy, and I had booked Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross for Ask a Drug Dealer, and his so I was feeling hype. I was like, I'm about to reach out to big people all over the place. So I reached out to this really famous boxer, and he reached right back out, and he sent me his rate, and it was so much money. I was like, wow, I don't. What made you think I had that?
Yeah.
I got a Gmail.
You ain't bored. You ain't bored. You ain't just sitting there.
I thought you just was like. I was like, for sure, you just ain't busy. So I was like, Melissa, how should I word this email back that lets them know that that's out of our rate, but but not like we broke. So she may have never made that email, but she formulated the email like, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. And it keeps the conversation open. She was like, if you write it like this, he might say, you know what, I'll take that rate. He didn't though, but but the email was better. So that's something that even before she came into this industry, I never was really good at that anyway, and I'm also really impatient, and it gets in the way of a lot of stuff. Like nobody moves as fast as I need them to move in the world except me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, so she's, you know what I mean? So in that sense, she doesn't necessarily work in my industry, but she does. Yeah. Because it's all dealing with people in the same way. I think one thing we've been working on specifically now is one thing I consider myself an expert in is social media and how to build your brand. And Melissa has her own thoughts on how to build a brand, and her thoughts are not my thoughts, and her ways are not my ways. So usually what became a problem today is, usually when people ask me how to build a brand, they are hanging on my every word because they're usually comedians. And they're like, if I can follow the blueprint of Kev, it'll work. It worked for him. I'm going to do the exact same thing. But Alyssa's like, I'm not a comedian. So what you do, and she be all shoulders and lips. I was on the phone and I felt
snatch
it.
air on you?
Yeah. She was so
with your little page.
What you need to understand is I ain't a comedian. So what works for that? You know what I mean? So in that instance, it's like, okay, I mean, like if you seem to know, you seem to know. Okay, then no. You know what I mean? So, and the other thing is the final thing I want to say on this. I think a lot of it is personality driven. Like what I want out of entrepreneurship and life is different. The way I'm built, like I was born, I tell people all the time when I was growing up, I was like, I want to be great in whatever. I need to be famous. I need to be recognized. I need to travel the world. And that was before I even knew what I wanted to do. Melissa's not necessarily like that. So the advice and stuff that I approach her with is thinking that she's thinking of the world the way I am. You know what I mean? And I think that's what happens with entrepreneurs and 9-to-5 people. It's like when we talked about being a dreamer episode last week, you expect people to approach the world the way you do, and people just be like, ain't nobody asked for all that.
Right.
I don't want to do all that. So I think that's where the conflict often comes with, entrepreneurs and 9-to-5 people, dreamers and planners. It's expecting people to see the world the way you see it, and not being able to see the world the way your partner sees it.
Yeah. Which actually brings up a really good segue. And it's almost, I wanted to talk about lessons learned, but we can kind of include that in this section here of lessons that we've learned or experienced and how to maintain and sustain a healthy relationship while being married to an entrepreneur when your personalities are so different. So one of the lessons learned and one of the things that I wanted to share was this idea of communication. Because a lot of times what happens is we do have different views of the world. Kevin, just using us as an example, and I'll allow you guys the opportunity to speak as well. Kevin sees the world through, I want to build this empire and I want you to join forces with me, and we are going to do this, and we're 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 going to do this. I now have like a very clear understanding of that vision. But initially when I'm working the 9-to-5 and Kev's doing this, our visions are different. Does that make sense? It wasn't really until I quit my job that now I've always been supportive, but I never really could like see a full vision because I was working a 9 to 5 and my vision is to make sure we have health insurance and to make sure that we have dental and we have a paycheck every 2 weeks because being an entrepreneur, there are highs and there are lows and you need to be fiscally responsible to prepare for those low periods. And there has to be someone in the relationship that's stable. That's stable to sustain through those times. And I've always been that person and I've been fine playing that role. Then I come off my job just recently and now I'm part of this. And I feel like, have we ever had, me and Kevin, have we ever had a conversation about what I want? Have we ever had a conversation about where Melissa fits in this empire? And it's a collaborative conversation, not what you see for Melissa. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that begins to cause a lot of conflict because I'm bucking against what you see and now we're both frustrated because we see different visions. And when you have a different vision, your actions are different. And that causes conflict. Have you guys ever experienced anything or it can speak to just communication in general?
I would say that I'm a little bit guilty of that. Marcus
I do?
Of not having the conversation of how do you see yourself in this? Because once you've been building something so long by yourself, quasi, when something new wants to come in, you already know where you feel like it best plugs in. Right. So it's almost hard to even to fathom I know how this is operated. How you know how to fit in here.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not going to get the best of him unless he gives me what he truly wants to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we recently, I think both of us came to that whole thing because I would like just withdraw and like let her do her, support her. But I'm like, I am the 9 to 5er. However, I'm like, if I'm going to be working this hard for somebody else, I can work this hard for me and get all the profit and not let somebody else get some of the profit. So I've always had that vision of being an entrepreneur, but doing it the stable way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna support her and let her get.
I want an entrepreneur stable.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm like, I'm gonna support her. She gonna take off.
Can we coin that? I'm here for entrepreneur stable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm like, once you take off, I'm gonna do my thing.
Right.
So then more recently, within the past 3 months or whatever, we started having that conversation of, okay, we need to build this thing together, and we do need to. I want to be that power couple that that empire. So we both started talking like, what do you see yourself doing? What do I see myself doing? So we're both working on our own entrepreneurship. She's continuing to grow hers and I'm starting mine. Even though it's going 2 separate directions, we're starting at one middle point.
And I think that is so important. And it literally is a revelation that I had today, we be sharing all of our business, transparent and honest, okay? That we had just earlier today. And it was literally the revelation that I had. And I said to Kevin, we've never had this conversation. And when you don't have the conversation, and really the conversation to me is nothing more. It's almost like a contract. And I used to watch The People's Court growing up because I love Judge Millian. I think she is like fabulous. And then she be talking to all the law stuff and just be checking people. And I just love her. Okay. Every time she comes off the bench, her shoes be fly, her hair be done. Like, you just want to show people your little Louboutin today.
She do be finding excuse to come down.
She do.
You can see you're elevated already.
Totally
You can't see my
Judge
business.
Millian.
You ain't
But
seen the
these
whole
shoes
ensemble.
I got on the red bottom. So I'm going to walk
gonna
this
shut
way.
you down. You gonna know.
Make sure you see these. Gotta pay good money for them. But anyway, one of the things she used to always say is that a contract is a meeting of the minds. And you do not have a contract if both minds aren't walking away with a mutual understanding of whatever it is was agreed upon. And to me, that's a conversation. It is a meeting of the minds. And if you cannot, if you and your spouse don't first have that conversation, that meeting of the minds, and come to a plan together, you are on shaky ground.
You know what's interesting, Angel? You as an actress, you know this. So Marcus, I'm sure you know as well. The characters in the world have their own motivations and they have their own visions for the other characters in the world. But they don't always express those to the other people. So, and what was really crazy, me and Melissa got into an argument, like a really bad argument a couple years ago. And the interesting thing is I thought I was supporting her, right? Because Melissa is very conservative, you know, and I see her as like, you know, big in like conferences and walking and with the little mic on the thing and talking like, you know, like I see it clear as
the
day.
TED Talks, all that.
TED Talk stage with women in conferences, right? But she wasn't necessarily thinking about it like that. So I'm like, I'm going to support you because I'm going to help you see yourself the way I see you, and I'm pushing you to your destiny. And the thing is, one day we talking about it, I'm trying to push her. She started crying, and I'm like, oh, what? I say I help you. I'm supporting you.
Right.
And what she said kind of rocked me. She said, you're not supporting me in a way that feels supportive. So I had to be like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like the 5 love languages. You have to love me in a way that feels like love to me, not a way that you want to express love to me. So it was like supporting her in a way that I would have, you know, if somebody was gassed, it was basically gassing her up. And I'm like, yeah, and I would be getting hyped. And she was like, nope, I'm retracting more and more and more. So I think that's the thing of like, there's so many times in marriages that people hurt their partner with the best of intentions. We always think it's all malicious. And sometimes we really be trying to, so we be like completely shocked when you're upset. Cause I'm like, how? I'm trying to help you. Like, how are you taking this any other way than the way I'm presenting it? And it's because we haven't had this level playing field to then move forward. You know what I mean? We just like, okay, we're gonna start this business. You quit your job, I quit my job. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tour Love Hour, blah blah blah. But I never said, do you want 1 million followers on Facebook? I just assumed that she wanted that because everybody that I'm around, we all like, I got to get these numbers because then it's gonna lead to that. And she's just like, nah, you know, numbers. And no one else is like that. I'm just like,
that's the same with me. It's like I have no desire to be world known or famous or anything. I'm like, no, I want to be wealthy, not known.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's pointless. You're not helping me in my vision.
Because in our business, that's right
your
now,
currency.
That's the currency.
It is.
And for everything, like I'm like, girl, you realize how brand deals are booked? They want to see a one sheet with your numbers.
That's it.
You get $1 million, the dollars are higher. She's like, but I don't want that. But money,
the bills, the stability, stability. That's the stability.
You see the government shut down? They ain't got nothing to do with the thing, but you see it. Ain't no TSA agents.
But you know, that is, I would say for Marcus, sometimes that's our struggle, is him knowing the way that I need him to support me when it comes to him coming over to help me. Because a lot of times he's like, you know, I'm showing up on camera when he feels like it. I'm bringing my wit. And I'm like, I need you consistently. Like, it can't be a thing of, especially like with our podcast. And it's not all him. Sometimes I'm just so tired. But like, if he's in a mood, this is my husband. If he's in a mood, he's not going to do right. When we get behind...
Hi, nice to meet you.
When it's time to get behind the mic, he is just like, I'm just like, oh my God, you are like paint drying on the wall. And I'm like, I don't care if you're in a mood. I just need you for 40 minutes to pretend you're not in a mood.
I'm not trained to just turn on like
Me
that. It's
either.
like, y'all gonna get this attitude.
You know what's funny about me?
I am the same way.
Me and Melissa had an argument. Today, I go in the shoot. I'm on my way to a shoot. Hang up the phone with her, and I got to immediately click on KevOnStage. I don't have the
Shoots
time.
Canceled. Right. I can't make it.
That is him. He will cancel on me all the time. I'm just not in the mood. I'm like, I can't. Like, you don't understand. I'm like, it's literally just 40 minutes to pretend like you're in the mood.
I have no desire to reach I know like building hers has to be that, but I'm like, no, I don't care what people say or think. I'm gonna say what I want to say, and they're gonna deal with it.
Like, no,
that's how I feel. And the other thing is, I feel like when you are too exposed, it opens yourself. This is a legitimate fear. When you're too exposed, it opens you up to too much of people's opinions. And anytime Kevin and I do something, people are always, go first, lady, go. Let me tell you something. let me tell you what I'll never be. A first lady.
But what if God calls me?
He didn't. I know he did it.
When before I said yes to you, God confirmed.
He's like, Melissa, I would never put you in that situation.
God did not tell you that.
Yes, he did. He said just like that. Melissa, I would never put you in that situation, girl. Don't worry about it.
He told you.
Yesterday at 2:01.
A prophet could be prophesying, Kev, you're going to have a church. Melissa be like, he ain't that. He don't even know God.
He's lying.
He don't even know God like that. God just texted me.
I am too... I don't like people all the time. I already talked about that. I don't like people all the time.
That sounds like
I
the perfect
be
first lady.
sometimey. I
This is me right here.
Like, honestly, that's why I'm like, we
I
need to
tell
take
people-
an Ancestry.com test because we might be related.
I tell people, some people don't smoke, some people don't drink, some people don't like heights. I don't like people.
Amen.
It's like I don't. It's
Some
like
people don't like heights. Some people don't like cigarettes. I don't like humans. That's all.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
in general, I
the
like
worst.
people. I want everybody to do well, but
Me
I don't
too.
need to get to know you. You don't gotta know me.
So
I'm good
think
with
about
Y'all
that.
just be living in the world like that?
Yeah,
Just
And
terrible.
it's great, right?
Just terrible.
Just terrible. I can't go to no mixes with him. There's no
I don't wanna go
networking
either.
with him because I'm just like, I
Yeah.
don't know what mood you gonna be in, and I need for you to play nice. And he's like, nah, I'm good.
Ain't no.
But when I'm on, I'm on. I'm like, you know what? I'll go.
Maybe
there.
me too. But there is a, like, I feel like when you are Kevin and Angel, you have this like natural turn on button, this flick of the switch, and you're like, I am Angel. I am that chick Angel. I am KevOnStage, and it turns on. And I feel like, again, I think it's that balancing act.
I'm a 72
of
Cadillac.
Listen,
You got to give it gas.
all of the things.
The ignition.
I
going.
need to have got.
Yes.
I need to have had 8 hours of sleep. I needed to have my Wheaties that morning.
Yeah.
I needed to have a glass of milk, some orange juice. I need to make sure, like, did my outfit work out right? Did I chip my fingernail polish? Did the kids walk on the carpet with their shoes on? Like, there are so many things where I could go from like here to here. And honestly, this is too much, but I'm about to tell you anyways. I feel like the older I get, the more moody I get.
Come on, you
Yeah, I
meet
agree.
Marcus Anthony Tanksley. That is him too.
Like, I don't know why, but I've never been a moody person. But I promise you, in my like 30s, I'm just like happy attitude.
I just be like, hey, everything okay?
I just thought about this
I
stage.
came home. Hold on, let me say one more thing about
No,
that.
no.
We had argued at like 11 today. I saw her at 3. Came home, hey, babe. Hey. Oh, we still on that, dude.
That's Angel.
There's so many things have happened in the day already.
No, but I haven't had a conversation with you. I haven't had a
fix
meeting
it.
of the minds
Yeah.
with
Well, let me tell you what's funny
Yes.
though. Kids is playing. It's Zay Joe. Oh man, we got a
Ain't no
trampoline
flip
in the
on.
living room. Hey, Daddy's home. Your father's here.
We
Your
do the
father?
same. We do the same
Now
thing.
he's your father.
She just sat down
yeah.
beside. We started watching TV. What's wrong with you? It's like I need time to still be mad.
Me too.
Like let me live through this for a second.
I'd be like, oh,
like I got my anger is up there. Let it simmer up there for a second. Don't be sitting
We
down
was
all
boiling,
cheesy
now I'm
and
trying to
stuff.
simmer down.
Yeah, you don't throw ice in boiling water or vice versa. Just let that cool off.
That man said, "Let me still be mad. I don't like you yet."
yeah, like a child. Like,
Chippery
no.
and smiley and stuff.
And then they be mad at us because we ain't still mad.
Right.
Because you be mad. Okay, you know what? Be mad. I'm going to go on my day. And then, you just going to be
Exactly.
happy?
Yeah.
Well, what you want me to do? Just be mad.
Just
We
get
just
away
gonna
from
be-
me and be your chippery self. Let me
Yeah,
simmer in this for a second.
but also don't be too happy when I'm mad though.
See, she does it on purpose.
Oh yes, I do. I know
She
how to
does it
get
on
at
purpose just to keep digging. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fire this right back up.
She face painting the kids.
you. Get in a real happy conversation with somebody. I'm over here watching movies with Marcus.
No.
Just
I don't
chilling.
watch no
So now I got a
comedy.
pause.
Ain't
Now I
nothing
got a
that
pause. Now
funny.
you on purpose, just trying to. All right, she's trying to take it there.
Absolutely.
Be
Okay.
real spiteful. Something gonna come up missing. Did you throw away my? Oh, you wasn't done eating that yet.
Such a jerk.
Now I'm happy.
Now I'm happy.
He's such a jerk.
Marcus is the purple emoji with the devil
Yes.
smile. That's
Yes.
what makes you happy. I threw away
You
your
know,
leftovers.
Yeah. You gonna
Oh,
make me
yes.
mad? I made you mad. Now we good. All right.
That is hilarious.
Go finish watching
and
Narcos.
I'm actually like super excited that we are opposites in a gender way. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
actually because I don't want someone that's going to like mirror me because
Oh, yeah, that'd
no
be-
one
yeah.
is the exact same. No relationship
No.
is like exactly
Yeah.
like me and
I
Kevin. So
know I
it's
can be
always
a
nice
jerk,
to
yeah,
see
and I don't like
a different
jerks.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Marcus don't like himself.
Right. He's like, I need somebody nice.
walk past the mirror
But
like,
what's funny
that
is
dude.
like I will be jerkish on the outside, but I really am a nice person. Kev is a jerk in real life.
People have been saying that about me lately.
What you been doing to folks?
I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you. You are a jerk when you don't mean to be. You think you are being helpful and nice and direct. And the way it comes across, people just be like, you just talk to people any old kind of way. And I'm just like, I want to give you the information is as curt as possible so you can get to moving. Yeah. People be like, where's the softness? For what?
I ain't got time for all that.
Ain't nobody got time.
See, I could sense that in you when I saw you in the airport. So I was like, you don't know me. Nice meeting you, man. Kept walking.
See, other people don't have your senses. People be like, one thing that bothers me, and I'm going to keep saying it on every video, hopefully people watch it. Hey, man, I see you with your family. Let me go and get this picture real quick. But I do see you with your family. So am I with my family or do you want the picture?
Right.
Because usually that acknowledgement means like, hey, I'm just going to say I love you. Nice to meet you.
Right.
People I be mid-bite, burger in hand. Hey, put that
I'm
down.
going to get this photo.
They put a hand in front of my mouth. Let me put the burger down, man. Let me just get a picture. I see you eating.
But you do always take pictures.
If you join that introvert like me and Melissa, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
No,
I can't
do
it.
They would approach you like, yeah, he ain't.
But then they going to go on Lipstick Alley and be like,
They never
KevOnStage
asked
was a
me.
jerk.
Talk about you.
But they never asked me.
Melissa will walk away. In
You
the
walk
airport,
away?
Melissa will walk away.
Why? Is it if you're not like ready or you just don't want pictures with people you don't know?
I mean, it could be any of those things.
Some days she's ready and just not in the mood.
Matter, yeah.
I be having my eyes rolled.
9 times out of 10, though, people don't want a picture with me anyway. They really are looking for Kev. So I just be like, okay.
No, they be like, I want a picture with. Nah, I'll take it. Y'all just be.
I do that too.
I'm gonna take it for y'all. Don't you want to be? I don't want to be in your picture, huh? All right.
I'll take one.
I
for the
don't
group.
seek it. I don't seek it. I don't seek it.
And I don't want it. I don't
want it. I don't want it.
Throw it all away.
Okay, so next part. Another issue that comes up in entrepreneur being married to a state, those opposites attracting, are finances and taking risk. Have you ever come into a issue where you feel like maybe Angel wants to be more risky with the money than Marcus you would feel comfortable with?
That one is the one where we kind of switched because I'm not afraid to drop some money on something that might work. I'm like, she's like, but that costs so much money. We got it. Do it.
And where
even if I'm not 100% with the idea, I'm like, I'm still at that mindset. It's probably a horrible one. Is like takes money to make money.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, we need these new mics and this stuff. Let's go buy it. Marcus, it costs too much money. We don't need it, but we gonna buy it eventually, right?
Yeah, he's quick to do it. And I'm like, wait. Let's see if a brand deal comes in.
Yes.
Or maybe I can get a sponsor to give us the mics.
Then we get some new ones and sell the old.
I am a lot more frugal when it comes to that stuff.
I think it's because I am the stable one. So I'm just like, I got this coming again next week. So it's good.
Right. And I'm like, I don't know when the wind is going to blow my way again.
Right.
Yeah. So I luckily, with me being an entrepreneur, that part of me is like in check. And one reason why I do so many things is because I don't like the feeling of being broke.
Yes.
So I will have 10 some odd jobs doing random stuff because I'm like, I need money. I want money. I don't want to feel like it. So I won't spend it. I'll just sit on my hands. And when Marcus
just visit in the morning, check online bank. You still, what you doing? You in the account?
You doing good?
Nice to see you.
Angel will get a job that cost her money.
It's not that bad. No.
It was at one point when I
will do a random job.
We did the calculation and she was like,
I did quit once I realized that I was off.
I was like, why are you doing this?
But there's things that I probably should have had he came up with the idea and thought of it, he would have went ahead and spent the money on that I have already just been like, no, I'm gonna wait until I have this amount and I feel like I can splurge on this, where he would have been like, do it. It'll be fine. The money will figure its way back into our account. Where I'm just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. So luckily, I'm not that person because I don't think we would do well.
Has that ever caused any conflict?
Conflict for us? Yes, slightly, because Marcus wants an old school car. Really bad.
I got to have a 66 GTO.
And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, what's happening this year?
No. And so I'm sure you did.
He said I found one.
Earl's waiting on my phone call. Earl,
I'm sure you did. So because of the way I am with money and because he works the steady 9 to 5, he's like, I deserve to treat myself. I'm going to work every day for this. I'm not working for myself. I'm making somebody else richer. I deserve to be able to treat myself when I want to. And I'm like, no.
Don't work like that.
No, you don't. You shouldn't. I'm sitting here in the house, not buying stuff. Like, I could buy an expensive purse. I won't. It's going to be a good $30 cute purse. So I'm like, you don't need no
It's
old
about
school
smart
car.
investments, though.
He said stupid stuff like that. And so I just
Old school only appreciates over time. That
Right.
purse is horrible.
Right.
After you put your
No,
first dollar in it.
they appreciate purses.
they don't.
Yes, the designer purses
Designer
do.
purses, yeah.
Ain't nobody,
really?
ain't nobody buying
They
them
do.
purses. People put them up for sale to make it look like
No.
that's all Louis Vuitton just putting up purses like, hey, let's put this on there,
hilarious.
up the
They
price,
appreciate.
so people think they appreciate.
In that way, sometimes it can cause a little bit of an because he has been wanting one for a very long time. There's other purchases that he makes that I'm just like they're too expensive, but he'll still make the purchase. Where I'm just like I am holding back from buying stuff. So should you. But I get it.
Hers is little by little though. It's like you see these nails and the hair and everything.
That's to keep you happy, so you don't feel like
'cause
you're
you
at
don't
home
be
with a
caring
man
like you should.
with some dusty
She don't be
hands.
caring. I'm like, I'll pay for that too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? Oh,
Right.
Angel? Oh,
Yes. I'm trying to stay womanly looking
Like
for
I'm
you.
outside looking, officer. There's a dude walking around in my kitchen.
Exactly.
He dapping you up when he get home. What's up, my boy? Oh,
Right.
hey, babe.
Exactly.
Why you got a do-rag on? She smoking a cigarette?
Exactly.
They made you a smoker in every day.
Right. And I'm like, that's not just for me, it's for you as well.
Oh,
So yeah, sometimes that can, and like, cause he's adamant, he's gonna get this car. He's not getting this car.
I'll come get you, dude.
No.
We're gonna cruise.
Please.
We're gonna cruise.
Because my transmission is slipping right now. That check engine light came on. That trip was like, hey, man, it's 150,000 miles. You don't have to get something fixed every
yeah.
once in a while. But it's a Toyota, so it costs me.
It's gonna keep going though.
Right.
You ain't gotta worry
I want to
about
put
that.
1,000,000 miles on that car.
You will.
See what-
You will. No, Toyota. It's like
work.
if you
But
gonna,
again-
you gonna live through this because I got you.
That's something I had a paid off Toyota Corolla, was willing to drive that thing into the ground.
It had 200.
He made me get rid of my
miles
car.
on
That's
it.
cash.
We have a son, and I'm like, hold on, you driving that to Vegas?
Yeah,
Are you out
it
of
was
your
gonna
mind?
make it, and it was gonna make it back. It's dependable. It's
So
a Corolla.
I literally
That is.
had to sell her car without her knowing and buy her a new car.
He did.
And I pulled up to the house like, here you go. She's all excited. I'm like, but that's gone in the morning. It's already sold.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I was
Where's
like,
my
set in
Corolla?
the one that actually has like a screen and a radio in it. It's like, yeah, get over it. You know,
I will drive that car till the engine falls out.
But
of the
we
That's
do
what I
bottom.
have
wanted.
a story where Kev bought a car without my
I was
knowledge.
trying not to bring that up.
Well, he brought it up. It was
well.
a perfect
As soon as he
segue.
said it, I was like, I know it's
No,
going
no.
to eventually get to this
I was
point.
like,
And I was so mad.
But the the transmission was gone. The car wouldn't go past 20 miles an hour no more.
eventually it's about safety. That's what hers
That's
was.
what I'm saying. I said,
Okay, but this is the thing. Oh, finish
I'm
your story.
sorry, man.
I was
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
Here was my thing. Okay, we're in the entertainment industry. The shoots are in Santa Monica and stuff. It ain't like I'm just driving it around the neighborhood.
Right.
Like I cannot get to the place where I make money if this car won't go on the freeway. So she's like, you should have. The car don't go. The car don't go no more. If I can't get to, and this before Uber was out like that.
Yeah.
I need to be able to go places or I can't get money. She's still livid. We could have fixed it. The car was a 96 Civic. Fixing the whole transmission was going to be more than the car
worth
was
of the car.
worth.
Yeah.
People was taking that car that wouldn't go 50 miles an hour. They took it for $1,000 in 5 minutes.
They did too.
Way more than they should have been paying for it. None of that mattered to her.
She was
Well,
like,
you ain't even talk to me about it. I can't go nowhere tomorrow if I don't have a car.
And I was gonna say that I think is the one of the biggest issues, and like I just want to stay right there for just a moment, talking about communication and finances. I think those can potentially be the biggest issues in a relationship period.
Yeah,
but I feel like
absolutely.
it's an even bigger issue when it comes to being an entrepreneur and not, because even if one person is making more money than the other person, especially if it's like the 9 to 5, I could potentially see a situation where that person is spending the money without having the conversation with the other spouse.
Right.
Or the opposite, if the entrepreneur is making more money and that makes the other person, the other spouse, whichever is spending more, feel in the dark. And left in the dark, and like they're not a part of their own relationship. Does that make sense? And that is or could be a potentially huge issue. And one of the things I was looking online and I saw this meme, and I actually want to do a whole podcast episode on this, but the meme said, or tweetgram or whatever they call it, loneliness. I don't know what it is.
The Twittergram.
It did have a picture.
I was like, is that what it's called?
I saw somebody retweet it, and I seen it.
Retweet it. Shut up. What is it called when it's just words and it's not a picture? Is it still a meme or is it a tweetgram?
Tweetgram was the app that people used to write words on, so that's probably what you said. Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
I didn't know
That's old school, but
How old? Like 2000 what?
13
probably.
Yeah, I was going to say it's still in the teens. You calling it old school?
But 5 years ago, internet is like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I still don't know the right answer. Tweet
You
grandma
saw a
meme.
Just say a meme. It's fine.
Okay, so I saw a meme and it said that loneliness is not being alone. Loneliness is not communicating feelings that are important to you. Not feeling like you can communicate feelings that are important to you. And I was like, oh, that's really good. And I'll tell you why. There have been times in just going back to like this idea of communication and this idea of finances. Kev just rammed all into my makeup table.
And that would have been a great social media thing. And I'm over here knocking waters down. So just run it back as if there have been times I already saw myself marking this like, here goes for the gram. So I hope it lives up. Because that water bottle really took you out of your thing. There have been times.
There have been times where I have felt like, and I'm usually not, I never feel lonely because I am a loner. Like I prefer to be by myself, not with a whole bunch of people. But I have definitely felt I am not able to express things that are important to me to my spouse, and that can bring on those feelings of loneliness. Does that make sense? And when you don't have, again, just going back to like this meeting of the minds conversation, having a conversation period about like your outlook on life, where you are going individually, where you're going as a couple, where you're going in terms of your business, what you're going to do with your finances, the risks that you're going to take, like all of these things, if they are not taking place together collaboratively, that's where separation starts, and that's where loneliness can kind of I don't know the right
spring
words.
Up.
Yes, spring up.
It's planting the seeds of loneliness. Her has a song about this. It's called Focus. Her Grammy nominated artist, and she says, "I begin to feel lonely even when we're alone together, because you don't focus on me." And I think that goes back to what you were saying of like, it's so simple that we, Melissa and I have been talking a lot about vulnerability and how to have conversations that matter, especially because I travel so much. And one of the things that I realized, so first I'm just trying to fix it. I'm like, let me just talk to her all the time. So I'm talking to her about stuff that she do not care about. So, man, LeBron has been averaging a triple-double on multiple occasions. And the Lakers' young offense is gelling together. I'm like, I'll just talk to you more. And now you'll feel like we're communicating, So I'm talking about, and that doesn't work. And then she hit me with I need you to be vulnerable. And when we have these intimate conversations where you're sharing your heart, that makes me feel like we're close. And I was telling her, like an entrepreneur, maybe Angel or Marcus, you can tell us if you have ever felt this. Like when you're an entrepreneur, I was telling Melissa, the thing that makes it hard to be vulnerable to you isn't that I don't want to talk to you. It's that those feelings that you want to hear from me, I am not allowing myself to feel them. So you want me to give you a part of me that I have not even accessing personally, because if I access that fear, then it's going to make me start to question myself, my talent, my ability. And you want to talk about that. Now I'm in my head. Well, what if this tour doesn't work? What if my numbers thing? So you want me to, and you're assuming that I just don't want to talk to you, but I'm not even dealing with those feelings at all myself. So I've got to learn how to process my own feelings and then open them up to you. So she's accessing stuff in me, and I'm just like, I don't even know why I feel that way. And maybe I should share that stuff, but I'm not purposely not sharing it with you. I'm just not dealing with it at all.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know if this is a female trait or male trait or just a difference in people. I am the type that will be completely vulnerable with him, typically not with anyone else, just with him. And I know sometimes for him, trying to figure out the right ways to communicate back to me, because he is not the most vulnerable person, even though I
actually think it's a gender thing. I was hoping you would say that. I actually think that naturally women are more vulnerable because it just happens in the way we communicate. When we have a girls' night or we're just hanging out, we're sharing feelings. When guys hang out, they're talking about the game.
Yes.
And therein lies the difference. So a woman, even just as a really quick example, even though it was a guy, but like I got really deep with him. Kev's doing another podcast called Aska. You should watch that when it comes out in February. And the guest arrived and we were just outside chatting and I had asked him a whole bunch of questions in about 10 minutes while the shoot that they were on was wrapping up. They come in here. It's all guys. It took them a good probably 30 minutes to get all of the information that I got from him in about 7. And I think it's just naturally, I'm going straight for the jugular. What made you decide to do this? Oh, were your parents supportive? And I'm literally, these are the questions I'm asking him.
Right.
Were your parents supportive? Oh, they weren't? How did that make you feel? Oh, how did you work through that? Well, what did your mama say? Well, when you moved, did you have friends? Oh, I'm sure that was lonely. Like literally, this is the conversation I'm having in 7 minutes.
I'm trying to shoot with him. He crying now like, hey, man, I just, what did you do to him?
You broke him.
I really just think that is just kind of naturally how women communicate versus men. Like we're naturally just more, and it is vulnerability, but because it comes so natural, it's not hard for us to get there.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm able to just spill everything to him. And the thing is, I'm not emotional with anyone else. It's literally just my husband. And he just now in the past, I want to say year and a half has become, especially now that he's trying to like moving into becoming an entrepreneur, being a lot more vocal with me about his thoughts, about the things that he's trying to figure out. Because a lot of times
like Kevin,
he's quiet.
Like, I'm quiet. I'm just like, she's like, what's on your mind? Nothing.
And I'm like, something's going on up here.
So
And like,
another
I'm
thing,
thinking through things, but I don't know how to. I know
articulate that.
Yeah, I can't articulate. I'm like, I'm good though. It's whatever.
Should we break right here?
Yeah, no, I was saying that's what I be.
Yeah.
And if the thing is, when you are a man and you don't have it all in a way that you feel like you can articulate clearly, then you're not ready to talk about it at all. I just be like, you know what? Let me figure it out first, because when you trying to talk to a woman and she catch you stumbling and stuff, then you be like, well, what is your feeling? Why ain't you saying nothing? Then like, see, this is why I don't be talking to you
this is
until
why
I got it all together.
This is why I was shutting up. Right here.
Because women, we talked about this in the Love Hour on the road, women understand their feelings as they talk about them. The more they talk, the more they understand.
Very true.
And all that stuff. And men, we sit and brood on all the stuff and be like, all right, I got it. And now I just processed a feeling from 2008 and like, you know what? That time you made me mad? It's because you remind me of my real father. Like, what?
So what is important here, and I do believe that this is like a genuine gender difference, is that when a man is working out those feelings, that's the vulnerable piece. That is the vulnerability, is being able to say, I don't have this figured out. I don't really understand everything that I'm going through, that I feel, that I'm thinking, but I want to have this conversation with you. That is the vulnerability. And without those conversations, you lack the closeness that we desire. Does that make sense? I don't even know how we got here.
No,
we were talking
what
about
I realized though?
and vulnerability.
It just clicked for me why that's hard for men. When you are a provider, you don't want to ever appear as if you don't know what you're doing or you haven't thought it through or figured it out. So if I come to you with something that I have not worked out or a feeling or a fear, my fear is that you're going to be like, well, he don't know what he's doing or he's not confident. So I would rather wait until I have it all figured out and then present it to you. And what you're looking for is the broken part of the plan and the fears that we have. And the manly part of us is like, I can't share that with you for fear of you thinking I don't got it all. And I think that's not, and it doesn't even mean like, in my case, it's probably the same for you, Marcus. Your wife doesn't necessarily have to do anything that makes you feel like she won't have your back. Right. But the thing about being a man is I need to appear. I think it's the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I need to appear as if I got it all
right.
worked out, figured out.
And like, I've been in my career for a long time. Like, I'm used to having everything under control. I know what I'm doing. So to be entering something that's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do about this.
Yes.
It's like, hold on, how am I going? Can I do this? Hold on. And that might be what's kind of going on in my mind, but it's so hard to verbalize.
And even if I could verbalize it, I don't want to tell you that because it makes me feel weak.
But what's so crazy is when you have a good wife, she already sees that.
Yes.
That you don't have something figured out. She's just waiting for you to tell her so that she can be that purpose
sounding board.
Yes.
They just want to see us fall and cry.
No, and that's
like,
the
there's
thing.
my baby.
And it's not.
Tame the beast.
They want to be the Black Widow with Hulk. Like I would break down and you're a big dollar.
But if you do need to cry, we are there for that.
Right.
But we are not asking for that, or that's not a requirement of intimacy and vulnerability. It is actually not always the tears and the breakdown.
Yeah.
It really is the I don't have this figured out.
No, it's definitely
I
healthy.
am afraid, or I am whatever masculine word you want to say.
I just realized
Because I think I know, and that's why I scaled it back and said whatever masculine words you want to say.
I ain't scared of nothing. I'm just saying I ain't sure.
Right.
Because I don't know if I got it.
And that's fine. Let's talk about this together. But the important part there is that the intimacy. Child, we about to go a whole other direction, but I'm gonna go there anyway because I feel like the pull is happening.
Come on, First Lady.
Nope.
She did just do it to herself. She said the pull.
That's a First Lady move. Don't be doing the mannerisms if you don't want the call.
That may have been a minister. She wasn't the first lady, though.
Right.
That intimacy that happened outside of the bedroom. Hello, call back to the love hour that we just had. But that is the requirement. That intimacy is a requirement for a woman to be intimate with her husband inside of the bedroom. That is what builds the connection that happens for a man inside of the bedroom. That same type of closeness, that same type of connection is what happens in those vulnerable moments of conversation outside of the bedroom. Child, we started talking about sex. That wasn't the point, but I think that is important because it does, again, just circle back to sustaining a healthy relationship. And to be honest, sex is part of a healthy relationship.
The healthiest.
Yeah.
I be feeling healthy with the sex. One time my knee was hurting, we had sex, I ran a mile. I was like, man.
I feel so good about myself.
It don't matter how much pain you
Bro,
in.
let me tell you what.
I had a
you could be in a
horrible-
coma.
I had a
Your wife
horrible
whispers.
injury.
I'm gonna drop that thing. What?
I had a horrible injury in 2016.
A whole coma.
Like I could barely walk for 2 days.
He was like, but I'm fine for this.
I was like, nah, I'm good.
I
Like,
don't need
I'm
legs.
Superman. Don't worry
my
about
legs
it.
off.
the emergency room
That's all I
gave me these
need right
big horse
here.
pills. I'll be good. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
that's hilarious.
But yeah, no, it the vulnerability and it just draws you closer. Like he knows that he can trust me with those thoughts.
Thank you.
And I'm not about to throw them back up in
And I
his
was
face.
just about to say that.
When you was
You
over
know-
crying like old.
Like, oh, punk, because you couldn't figure something out at your job.
And I would
help you
hope,
out. Yeah.
and honestly, that is such a key point that just like all of the listeners, if your husband is vulnerable with you, do not throw that back.
I wish you would.
Not
You'll go the rest of this marriage, never get
And that is what will happen.
I will
If
get
you-
shot
and
down. Does that hurt?
especially-
Nope.
Especially
feel
if
pain.
you do it in front
Rambo.
of other people.
Oh, yeah. Over.
man.
Game over.
And because men do suffer from that Wizard of Oz imposter syndrome, where you think, the Wizard of Oz, you hear this big roaring voice, and then you meet him and he's this itty bitty man.
Right.
And a lot of times men feel like they have to put on that big voice and be this big, huge representative, when inside they may really feel like this little bitty man. And what you want is that. What?
I don't never feel like no itty bitty man.
Hello?
'Cause I'm always 7 feet tall. You feel me, Kev?
7'2".
Don't ever disrespect me. I be digging on Shaq. I don't never feel small. You feel me? I'm all man, Kev.
But if somebody could make you
day.
feel small, it's your
Oh,
wife.
absolutely.
Right.
You know what's funny? My wife and I were talking about this today. She was like, the one thing that I'm realizing, men, our egos are small and fragile. We're sensitive, all
Very.
that. And she was saying, you don't even realize how many times I have spared your ego and said stuff in
Tell
a
the
way that just because I know, because I'd be like, oh, you think of what? Why is my voice broken?
It's the truth.
She just had to let you know. It's like, by the way.
Right. Like she was just like, I want you to do the same thing for me, but I don't think about, it's hard to do something when you don't realize the other person has been doing that for you without your knowledge. You know what I mean? Because when I do stuff, let me let you know what I did so we both know what I brought to the table. I don't be doing nothing unannounced.
I got the invoice, receipts,
All the
just so you
receipts.
can see what I've done for
It's all in
you.
the purple photo
Right.
right here.
Right.
So the purple folder.
Women don't tend to do that, but I'm like, hey, let me let you know what I did. Okay?
Right.
You told me to do this. I did it. Okay.
Show you this.
Let me show you what I did. I left the carbon copy on your desk.
Right, exactly.
Physical carbon copy.
That's funny. And the point I think was the which actually it spawned another episode which we're going to do in the future, and that is the idea of I don't know if you guys have heard this book, Love and Respect by
Emerson Eggerichs.
Thank you, Emerson Eggerichs. It's a wonderful book, fantastic book. But the conversation Kevin and I were having earlier today, it circled around that idea of love and respect. And it was, and the point to what he was just saying is, I have curbed what I have said. I have shielded what I have said. Even when things have happened and he has said things to me, I don't always check you back because I always want to be respective of your ego and not embarrass you in front of your friends and not, you know what I mean? And because women, we can be quick.
Right.
Oh yeah, they'll
With
cut
our
you down.
tongue.
Yeah.
They will.
And slice you
Bruh,
in
I don't
two.
think anyone could hurt you as
No,
than a woman with
and
her
it does
tongue.
it. I mean, and
Or make
we
you feel
know.
good.
And again, going back to that vulnerability, going back.
She's trying to blow past it. I can hurt you. I can help you. What you want it to be.
But in real life, that's the truth, though.
That's what the Bible be talking about.
And we can cut our men quickly. And I've always been, I remember watching that as a child. Not that my mom did it to my dad, but I remember going to like marriage enrichment and hearing men talk about that. So I've always been like hyper aware and ensuring I don't do that to my husband. But in doing that, I haven't always said, that hurt my feelings, what you just said. And so I was telling him that all of these years I've done this for you, and now all I'm looking for is for you to do the same for me. Just be aware of what you say and how you say it. And when you, and again, that's going back to this idea of loneliness. Years of not saying that aloud, you start to feel almost resentful, like I'm not sharing what I feel, and he's going across doing all of these things. We need to have this conversation right now. And honestly, that's how, again, just the idea of like separation starts to happen, where you start to feel disconnected with one another because we're not being vulnerable with one another. I don't feel comfortable enough to share with you how I actually feel.
You know what as you say it, what happens is like there's this episode of the Office where Dwight quit and went to work at Staples, and nobody noticed, like he loved the Scranton, Dunder Mifflin Scranton, right? So he quit and went to work at Staples, and all of a sudden the plants are dying and this is happening. And people were like, man, what's happening? They showed all the times Dwight would come in early and water the plants, and he'd open the blinds, he'd get the newspaper. And I think that's what happens with women. They are doing stuff that men don't even notice, and they want to be recognized for it. And we don't even know that you're watering the plants, and you never say that I'm watering the plants, and you're screaming out, why don't you understand what I'm doing for you? And we have no idea. The plants have just always been alive, and I didn't notice that. I thought there was a plastic plant. I had no idea this plant wasn't even real until you stop watering. And I think that's what has happened or can happen with me and Melissa in any relationship. If you're doing stuff out of the goodness of your own heart and you don't bring it up all the time, your spouse doesn't even acknowledge that you have done it, and you're clamoring for the honor from all this work that you've done, and they have no idea. So you're mad at them that they haven't reciprocated that, and they have no idea that you're doing it.
Yeah, we've had that conversation because I don't know if it was a podcast or a vlog or what, but we were talking about getting into arguments, or when you get into an argument, or if we've ever hurt each other's feelings. And I was like, not on purpose. And then she was like, you've definitely hurt my feelings before. I was like, what? And it threw me for like, it was like a wrench in the whole gear. I was like, wait, I've hurt your feelings before. Yeah. So then like she was telling me different situations. I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Situations.
I feel horrible.
I have had the same exact thing.
I'm just being
It was two. All right. Just to clarify.
That's still more than one. Right. She was technically correct.
More than one.
I blame her for not being, you got to communicate those things.
I agree. No. To a certain degree, I agree that there is something to you treat you teach people how to treat you. And when you allow years to go by, months to go by, weeks to go by, whatever the case may be, without speaking up, you are complicit almost in your mistreatment.
It's your
person may not know.
And that's what I'm saying. If they don't know and you haven't said anything, and so at this point,
you're blaming me and it's you.
No.
And I will become petty. If I haven't said anything, what I'll do is I'll reciprocate his behavior.
Yes.
And he'll be like, I don't like, especially when he gets mad at me, he stops talking to me. Like, and so if I do that to him instead of what I naturally want to do, which is talk his head off when I'm mad, if I do the whole, I'm going to withdraw from you and just be like, I'm cool. And he'll be like, what's wrong? I'm good. I'm cool. I'm good. Now that hurts my feelings when he does that to me. And then once I start doing that to him, he's like, I don't like that.
Don't do what I do to you all the time. Find your own way to be mad.
I normally just don't want to talk anyway. She's always talking. So
that's my natural disposition. You're choosing to do this.
I was like, well, I don't like when you do it to me. Okay. I'll try not to, but stop doing that right now.
But you stop it.
Yeah.
Just start talking so I can tell you to hurry up and finish this conversation.
That's hilarious. Which brings up one last point, and I want to wrap this up. You just remind me of another podcast topic. My mind was going like, I need to talk about this, I need to talk about this, I need to talk about this. But you just reminded me of this term that I'm like kind of toying with, trying to come up with the definition. And that is emotional congruency or emotional honesty. And it is this idea that you feel something internally, but when you are asked, you say the opposite. So when you are upset inside and someone asks you, how do you feel? And you say, fine. And we do that while doing it with a stranger. That's one thing. Doing it with your spouse is so unhealthy.
And he is so guilty of
I
that.
am
Because I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
I
know if I was like, you know what?
Because
I'm mad about this. Well, I don't want to talk right now.
And then what happens? We move on, and then so you don't want to talk about it? I just asked you what's wrong. You said nothing. I ain't gonna pump and prime you, amen. And that happens. So why do y'all do that?
Yes,
you say you
why?
don't do it because you're not ready to talk about it. Why do you do it, Liz?
Man, I don't know. I think it's just the easier way out. It's maybe fear. I'm not quite sure, honestly. I'd have to really think about it. It's probably fear. But if you've read my book, child, find my book.
Shameless plug.
Hey, I'm working on it. I have all of these different campaigns that I did in my book. And this year, my campaign is just say it. And that is literally what I am working on. Being emotionally honest, being emotionally congruent. So that the words that come out of my mouth match how I actually feel.
Because you know what happens? Actually, I think I noticed it. What will happen is she won't say it that day. We be beefing, the energy weird for 3 days. Then on Thursday, well, what was making me mad was this.
I do that.
On Monday?
See me,
I don't even remember what happened.
I will be willing to talk about it once I'm not feeling like that anymore.
I do want
You know,
to.
then by that time, I don't care. I don't care about what your feelings
but I
were.
still let you know. Right.
I do want to let you know, and I want to. I'm a crier. I'm just a crybaby. And so when I am more removed, hopefully I can like have a conversation without all the tears.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to articulate myself in a very clear and concise manner. So that way when I say it, because I'm stable.
We're stable. We like to be organized.
And I want to make sure that you like get it. And sometimes when you're fighting through a lot of emotion, child, my tongue is saying over here and my mind is over here, and then the words get all confused. So I want to be able, I like to give you analogies. I want to be like, thus thou sayest the Lord. Like, I want to make sure that everything is lined up, because when I come to court, I'm winning. So I need to make sure that all my evidence is
the
in
feds
order.
will let you continue your criminal empire for 7 years. Because when they arrest you, you know you're going to jail. I wanted to commend you, Melissa, because today you actually...
I did have to hang up the phone, though.
Huh?
I did have to hang up the phone.
Oh, that was... I thought we had bad service.
No.
You didn't even know that she had purposefully said this is part of the conversation is over.
The second conversation hung up several times, but there were actually 2 separate phone calls that were made, if that makes sense.
Oh, you called me and hung up before I answered?
No, child.
You said you hung up the phone.
No.
No, one of them times she just hung up.
No,
Like, as you
we
were
had
talking.
we had one conversation, and I was just like, I'm fine, okay, bye. Then I called you back.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Between that, the first phone call and the second phone call, even though the second phone call happened over several phone calls because of the bad service, but between the first and the second, I was like, what are you feeling? What do you want to say to him? How do you want to communicate them? Just say it. Pick up the phone.
Because I'm just driving like, but usually you would let months go by.
And,
wow.
And then what happens is I could correct the behavior from something that happened today. But if you don't say it, now I'm going to keep, and I talked about this in the Love Hour, I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over. And every time it's going to make you mad. But if you would say it, because my intentions are pure and I want to please you and make you happy. But if you don't call me on it, then I'm going to repeat the same behavior because I don't know this bothers you. But now that you say it, the next time I can think about, okay, how, the last time this happened, I upset her with this. So, we were having a conversation. I was literally like, my intentions were this. It didn't come across like this. So help me understand how I can present this to you in a way that comes across as the way that I intended. And I really thought I was doing great today. She gave me no props, but I understand that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying I commend you because you now have cut down the window of time where that's going to be a problem by just saying, when you just did this 5 minutes ago, it made me feel like this. And I can say that was not my intention, but moving forward, I'll do this so that doesn't come across like that anymore. Right. And even last year, she wouldn't have said nothing. And then she would have said, a couple months ago, you said that. I'm just like, bro, I be messing up every day. What day are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I know for me, when I can, feel his energy is off and I ask him what's wrong, I end up getting mad when he says nothing because I feel like, oh, you blatantly lying to me in my face. Like, so I now got an issue that I wouldn't have had if you would have just told me that. Like, oh, it makes my head want to pop off of my neck. I'm like, don't lie to me. Even if we're not going to talk about what it is, say, yep,
but
I'm upset.
Will.
You right. I probably
in the
will.
moment, and I'm just like, I don't want to talk about this right now. I want to stew in this anger for a second. Let it pass.
And sometimes all I need is,
all day.
I am mad. And then leave. And then you can walk away or I'll walk away. I'm mad. I'm not going to talk about it.
But you got legs too. You going to follow me.
You're right. I mean, you're not lying. You're not lying.
And Marcus, you have one of those names where they just repeat it. It's annoying. Marcus. Yeah. You don't want to talk, Marcus? Why don't you want to talk, Marcus? And I'm just like, oh. Yeah. And that probably infuriates you even more. Like, I don't want to talk
on the drive now.
Right.
In my 72 old school.
It's coming. I think that is so important, and it is going back to, I even really like what you just said. Even if I don't want to talk about it, just being able to say, I'm upset, but I don't want to talk about it, because that is being emotionally honest. That is being emotionally congruent. And I think that is like the first step to having a healthy conversation, is recognizing I'm actually not okay, but I also don't want to talk about it. Right. And I think there is nothing wrong with being able to say, I'm not okay. I am upset. I want you to get out of my face. And then I don't want to talk about this until I think about it, and then we can come back.
Right.
I actually really love that. Yeah. Okay, so I want to wrap up really quickly. That was like a really good nugget, and I heard that because of the Just Say It campaign that I am on, and the being sub part B of that is being emotionally honest, being emotionally congruent. I think that is like so important, whether you're a man or a woman. If you go through those points where you're like, I am upset, I don't want to talk about it, but instead of saying I am upset, you're just like, I'm fine, and then in 3 days you want to talk about it, like, that's a disconnect there.
Yes.
So last thing, I want to actually provide pointers. I mean, we've kind of covered like so many things, but hopefully we can come up with like 3 points to give to couples out there that are, I'm the stable person, they're the entrepreneur, and we're reaching this, we have conflict, we have these contentions going on in our relationship. What are some pointers that we can give, whether they're surrounding communication, whether they're surrounding risk taking or money or whatever have you? And it could be like a recap of some of the things that we've talked about.
I think one is understanding your partner's vision. I know a few people that they've been married. One of them is the entrepreneur, and it's like, this is what I have to do, and it don't always work out. It can be a lot of stress on a relationship, and I think one of those things the stress comes from them not understanding their vision. And if they were to understand their vision, maybe that could help them build it, or give them their opinion, or just like you said, the whole thing is further communication. And that way it's not frustrating to the person, or they don't completely understand, like, why are you doing this or doing that, or, quitting your job, or why is this your focus? Like, we need to do this, or A, B, and C, and vice versa. The 9-to-5 person is like, the entrepreneur doesn't understand the 9-to-5. Like, why don't you want more for yourself? There's that type of thing of understanding each other's vision.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that's so important. And it goes back to what we said earlier, the meeting of the minds, having the conversation. Where am I going personally? Where are you going personally? And then where do we see ourselves going together? And once you have that, I just think it level sets the entire relationship, and it allows you to find your place and move forward together.
Yes. Tip that I would say is, don't become an obstacle for the person.
Ooh, that's good.
That is trying to become the entrepreneur. If you're saying, I'm going to support you, but I'm not about to jump in on this. I like to be stable. I like to be the 9-to-5. Don't then also become an obstacle. Meaning, if there are things that you are deciding that you're going to support this dreamer in, don't do things that are going to make it harder for them to achieve those dreams. And that doesn't mean to lay down and be like a
yes man.
Yes, not that. But like, if you're like, oh, I want to help you with this or something, actually do that. Don't become my hindrance, because it's already hard enough when you're deciding, I'm going to take this leap of faith and I'm going to build this. You're already fighting past your own thoughts, your own insecurities, the actual marketplace of whatever you're working in. So when your spouse is, regardless of how they decide to be a part of it or not be a part of it, just don't be an obstacle. Like, if you decide I'm not going to do I would prefer that, because then I know where you at.
Right.
I know you over there, and I'm not dependent on you for this. But if you say, I'm going to help you with this, then be dependable, because nothing is worse than trying to motivate somebody else when you just trying to motivate your own self. You know what I'm saying? So that's my biggest tip if you're married to a dreamer.
I love that. That was a great tip.
And mine would be to be emotionally congruent and emotionally honest. I think a lot of times we have these feelings, and I was hoping you didn't say it. And when people ask us, we say the opposite.
Josh is filming this today, and he was my
he was your gym.
He was my gym right now.
And just to be like, if you're gonna feel something inside, as hard as it is to say, just go ahead and say that, because really, when you're not emotionally honest, you're hurting the relationship.
I can see why you would be getting mad at him.
Anything else, Kevin? Maybe that the public could use.
My book, The Journey to Self-Love, a book written about women for women. It's made for me. And my Just Say It campaign is something I'm really working on this year. To just say the things I feel, as opposed to harboring my inner feelings.
That is definitely something I am working on. My tip would be to the entrepreneur to make sure that they include the 9-to-5er in their plans.
That's a good one.
So in the same vein of not being an obstacle, if you tell me, what are we moving toward? Just incorporate them into the plan so they feel part of. Because when you don't, again, you start feeling like we're going in two different directions. So again, just going back, we kind of all lay building blocks. I'm gonna make it all plain right now. First building block, have a conversation. Number one. Second building block, don't be an obstacle.
Emotional honesty.
Okay.
Say mine.
Okay, emotional honesty.
Say my idea.
I want to play with y'all.
Honesty. And then finally making sure that after you've had the conversation, if you decided to move forward and you have an action plan, making sure that the non-9-to-5 or the non-entrepreneur, the 9-to-5er is incorporated into the family business, so to speak, so that you're not feeling like you're moving alone or like they are an obstacle, because they understand where you're going, what their place is, what they're doing, and all of those things. Because a lot of times I think the just speaking from my experience, the 9-to-5er could actually end up being an obstacle on accident because they don't understand the vision to begin with.
Yeah, I believe that.
So
absolutely,
we all just had like, that was just like so perfect, and like the advice that we just gave, like it was like, honestly,
I was about to say, our ideas ain't good.
Keeps it 1,000.
No, it's like,
it's like,
hey, you shouldn't go through with that. And it's like, it happens.
It does. And for the entrepreneur to take that as their spouse just wants the best for them, and not that they are not trying to support you.
That they're haters. Yeah, no.
They're haters.
Can't always think that way.
It's like, you shouldn't make cell phone cases. They just think
you're not going to do well.
It's not a good idea. Okay, so any other last thoughts?
No, I had a great time.
Did you?
This was very fun.
Good.
Thank you for having us be here. I feel so honored.
I do. Yeah,
I remember at one point in time when we thought we were going to do guests, we still have never brought on guests. You all were on my list. And I mean, this is before I had even met y'all. And I was like, I'm going to get them.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow.
Look at us
ain't
now.
gonna do our podcast.
Listen, y'all look 3 minutes away.
I know.
I know, right?
Right.
That was before I changed.
Dream Killer.
Dream Killer.
That would be his Marvel superhero name, Dream Killer.
Yeah.
What, you want to be something? Bow, your dream dead. Why would you do
All
that?
in your face.
You didn't even hurt me personally. You just hurt my dream. You're never going to make it. Why are you breaking my self-esteem?
Believe the biggest stamp on this world.
That is okay, so thank you so much for joining us today, Angel and Marcus. Do you want to give out your socials?
Well, he doesn't have any,
Yeah.
so I'll just give out
Oh,
mine.
you really ain't
I'm
trying
on
to be
Black Planet.
He's on Black Planet. That's where he's at. LinkedIn and Black Planet.
Yeah.
That's where you can find him.
You don't have no Instagram, nothing?
No,
man.
he might start an Instagram. Well, I might start his Instagram page.
She was like, I'm going to be all in your DM. I was like,
He was like, what's DMs?
that?
I was like, don't worry about that. He was like, it's a direct
live in the
message.
world
I
with no
said,
Instagram.
no.
I don't
It's
care.
Detroit,
You want to
Michigan.
know me? I know you.
Wow.
Do you see? Do you see?
Wow.
What
I thought I was struggling.
But then
Nah.
I found out what DM is. I said, so you want me to get an account just to create an issue? Like, how much
Is
sense
this
does that make?
going to lead to an argument?
It's going to cause an argument.
She was like, why she all in there? Hold on, let's see. What
I ain't
she
even want no
I don't-
Instagram.
I don't
You
know
want
her.
Instagram.
Yeah. I've been doing fine.
So my handles are, you can find me almost everywhere with @ThatChickAngel and on YouTube at ThatChickAngel TV.
Now, you can find me on YouTube.
Yes, he's
I'm
on my
the
channel. He is
I'm
on
the
my channel.
podcast. This is going to cause an argument.
Yes, which is on iTunes.
But that's all they need.
Google Play, all those other places.
So is this going to cause an argument on all platforms that podcasts are available?
Yes.
That Chick Angel on all social media platforms.
Yep.
And Mommy Confessions on YouTube and Facebook? Or
On just Facebook exclusively,
On
yes.
Facebook exclusively. We have an episode, or I did an episode with her. We didn't do it together.
It was so
Her
good.
episode.
She did it. She brought all the nuggets. all
Thank
of
you,
them.
Boo. I had a really, really, really great time. I've watched a few of the other episodes that she's done, and they're all really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, like, you have really awesome guests. So make sure that you check them out. Kevin?
Just continue to share the podcast, man. Y'all liking and rating it has kept us in the top 20 of health like every week.
That's amazing.
And we have 1,400 ratings,
Wow.
which is a
That's
lot
beautiful.
for a podcast.
It is.
So,
That just
that is.
launched.
yeah, so we had a conversation with
Or
some
just
advertisers, and they were like,
relaunched.
"Yo, y'all have a lot of ratings and a lot of comments. That's unusual for a podcast that's relatively."
And ads are coming down the pipe, y'all. So continue to support
yeah, we need y'all
us.
to keep that same energy. Yeah, and Love Hour Conference coming in 2020. So
In
you can
real
see
life.
your relationship clearly.
Oh, nice tagline. Like it.
First of all, Angel is the best. She is so supportive. Like, I'm completely here for it. Kevin, do you want to give your social medias?
KevOnStage, man, you already know what I am, Kev.
And I am at Miss KevOnStage. Thank you for tuning in, and we will be back in your feed on Thursdays
Yes, Kev, and Sunday bonus episodes.
and Sunday bonus episodes for the time being.
God
Thank you
bless
guys so much.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.